Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Patch Notes, the show where we cover the biggest gaming news from the week in a nice bit-sized package. My name is Drew, and as always, it's great to see you guys. This episode, we are covering the news from the week of September 8th, 2017. This week could be described as Overreaching Microtransaction week. Developers and publishers seemingly can't help but cram their $60 releases full of microtransactions, and this week is a prime example of how the gaming community is getting fed up with it. Let's start off with earlier this week when Shadow of Mordor fans accused Monolith Studios of exploiting the death of one of their fellow developers for profit. Whoa, let's take a step back a bit and kind of explain where all this started. Earlier this summer, it was announced that Shadow of War, the sequel to 2014's surprise hit Shadow of Mordor, would include time-saving microtransaction loot boxes. These boxes can be purchased for real money and include bonuses for the player as well as orcs to add to their army in the game. Considering Shadow of War is primarily a single-player game, this is kind of a head-scratcher for me. There technically is a multiplayer mode similar to Metal Gear Solid 5's Mother Base mode where you can invade other players' bases, but it's still primarily a single-player game. Shadow of War hasn't even released yet, and it's already receiving heavy criticism for the amount of microtransactions that are going to be available at launch. But that's not really what we're going to be talking about here, because that's been happening for a few months now, and that's not really from the past week. No, this past week, Monolith announced that they would include a DLC called Forthog Orc-Slayer that is based on one of their fellow developers who unfortunately passed away during the development of the game. It's going to be a $5 DLC, with $3.50 of that going directly to the developer's family for support. The rest of that transaction money is actually going to Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, and Steam for their general fees that they accompany with their stores. So essentially when Monolith announced this, they said that all the proceeds are going to go directly to the developer's family. However, if you read the fine print for the video, it explicitly states that this promotion only counts in certain states within the United States. So that means those certain states, or anywhere outside of the United States, that money isn't going to go towards the family? Keep in mind this DLC was going to be available worldwide, so what about the money that was coming in from outside the US? Was Monolith just going to keep all of that? Fans saw this as a way to actually exploit the developer's death and for a way for Monolith to earn extra money off of those out of United States sales. And that really does sound malicious if that's their intent. I mean, they're using the guise of a charity to give themselves some good PR and to sell some DLCs that people think are going to support this person's family. A writer from Eurogamer reached out to Warner Bros. Interactive, the publisher for Shadow of War, to get a statement on this. The Warner Bros. Rep stated, "Neither Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment nor Monolith Productions will profit from any sales of the Forthog Orc-Slayer DLC, regardless of the territory in which the DLC is sold." What this most likely means, even though it's not exactly clear, is that Monolith has probably decided to go back on their fine print and has decided to just donate $3.50 from each transaction, whether it's outside the US or not, to the family. And honestly, I don't want to bust their balls too much for this. This DLC is a genuinely respectful portrayal of somebody who worked with them and was their friend. I don't think the intent for this DLC was malicious, at least not initially when they first came up with it. And I want to give Monolith credit for at least trying to come up with something creative and immortalize their friend in a cool way. If it were me, I would have just put the character in the game for free, taken the good PR, and gone home. I mean, we all know Monolith needs the good PR right now. But at least we know the developer's family is going to get some support from this promotion, however much it is, and that's a good thing at the end of the day. Now to move on to a game that does a fairly good job of handling DLC and microtransactions, the new update Blood Orchid was launched this week for Rainbow Six Siege. This update comes with one new map, 3 new operators, and a host of gameplay tweaks, all for free. Now, I know that some would argue that the new operators aren't technically free because it takes a lot of in-game grinding to actually unlock them for yourself, but they can still be purchased in-game without spending a single cent of real money. The system is overall pretty fair in my opinion. I mean, it doesn't take that long to save up for an operator. It's pretty long, but not terrible. It's definitely not as bad as some other games. And this is an example where microtransactions support free content, instead of being added on top of paid content. Other great examples are Halo 5 and Titanfall 2, where the microtransactions supported free content post-launch. In today's microtransaction-ridden environment, I honestly think that this is the best kind of system we can hope for. I would much rather have microtransactions that support free post-launch content than no post-launch content at all. Microtransactions are unfortunately here to stay, at least that's just my opinion. So I think we're better off with this microtransaction system like Rainbow Six Siege or Titanfall 2, where these transactions actually help support free content, so there are microtransactions microtransactions present, but that saves you from having to pay every few months for a new map pack or an expansion or something like that. And to round off our discussion on microtransactions, Destiny 2 launched this week with pretty fair reviews from critics, but from fans it's getting a lot of controversy and backlash. First off, I just want to say that I've been playing Destiny 2 like crazy since it came out, and so far I love it. I just beat the campaign this morning and it was great. They really took a lot of time to pace out the narrative and really build up the characters and really teach you about this universe and connect you to it in a way that the first game really never did. This game is a stark contrast to Destiny 1 Vanilla, that you can tell the developers actually cared about telling a story and building a world and making mechanics that actually worked along with the narrative this time around. I guess that's my biggest praise for this game, is that you can tell the developers actually cared this time around. With all that said though, the microtransactions in this game are an absolute mess. Now technically, they're actually really simple. You only pay for one thing, silver, which is a currency in the game that you can use to buy bright engrams. Now these bright engrams you can also earn in-game by leveling up after level 20, so once your XP bar fills, you get a free bright engram. The problem isn't so much the amount of microtransactions, it's more of just what the microtransactions include. Also keep in mind, and this has to do with what we were just talking about, but Destiny 2 has 2 expansions already planned to come out within the next 6 months. Each of those expansions is going to be $20 to $30, I'm not exactly sure. So yeah, this is what I was just complaining about, where they have microtransactions in a game that they expect you to pay for on top of paying for expansions. But what are the problems with these microtransactions exactly? I mean, Destiny 1 had microtransactions and they were all cosmetic. I mean, they were kind of annoying, but they weren't really a problem. Well, my personal problem with the bright engrams is that they include things called weapon and armor mods. These mods you can attach to weapons and armor that give you slight boosts to certain abilities or perks. These mods give you a slight advantage over people who don't have these mods, and however slight of an advantage that is, it's still an advantage, and that's why a lot of people are crying pay to win for this one. There's also the issue of gear skins in the game. The problem stems from the fact that the skins in this game are now single use, different from the unlimited use skins that we had in the last game. These skins come with the benefit of being able to be applied to individual pieces of gear for more customization, but that comes with the drawback of losing that skin forever once you've applied it to something. This means on top of having to find the actual skin you want from a random loot box, you have to hope that the gear you apply it to doesn't get bested in the next 5 minutes by another piece of gear that you happen to find, because you'll have to replace it and you'll lose that skin. It was a system that was clearly and pretty transparently designed to make people buy more loot boxes, or at least grind for more loot boxes. Single-use microtransactions should never exist. Whether it's a free-to-play game or a $60 full-price game, it should never be a situation where you pay for something and what you paid for just goes away. I'm about to go on a long rant about this, so skip to this time code if you don't want to hear it or if you just don't care about Destiny. A lot of fans are demanding that Bungie completely remove this system and just allow unlimited use for all skins. But I've taken a really long time to think about this and try to come up with a solution that's both beneficial for the players and Bungie, so here it is. Right now, the problem is that once you apply a skin to a piece of gear, it can't be removed. So here's a system that I propose to kind of alleviate this issue. First off, common and rare skins stay how they are. They remain limited in single use because they're not that rare and you're going to come across them often. Their overall abundance in the game is going to make their limitation not really an issue. Legendary or purple skins, however, will only be received 1 at a time instead of in packs of 3 to 5. But instead of being single use, legendary skins can be applied and removed. This means you can apply the skin to a certain amount of pieces of gear as long as you have that certain amount of skins in your inventory. So say you have a full set of armor that you want to apply skins to, that would mean you would need 5 legendary skins that you would have to save up over time to get those skins, but you can remove them and add them to things as you go on. Also, just to add to this, since skins kind of follow the same rarity scale as regular gear, why not make raid skins exotics? These exotic skins could be applied and removed as many times as people wanted to. Raids are damn hard to complete in these games, and we deserve to be rewarded with skins that we can reuse on pieces of gear at the very least. Maybe Bungie already has something like this planned. I mean, the raid isn't going to come out for another week, but considering how they've handled the rest of the skins in the game, I really doubt it. Oh, and also, while we're at it, go ahead and just remove mods from purchased bright engrams and keep them inside earned bright engrams. This will provide incentive for people to actually level up beyond just spending a bunch of money on their mom's credit card. I'm sure it's not that simple to separate the loot pools for purchased bright engrams and earned bright engrams, but I'm sure that would solve the problem for a lot of people. So yeah, that's my solution to the overall problem with the microtransactions in Destiny. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Did I miss something? But anyway, let's get back into the story. Hopefully Bungie will address and maybe even reverse this issue soon. soon. But yeah, if you're the kind of person who doesn't really care about microtransactions, and you enjoyed the first Destiny but found it kind of lacking, then I think you would have an absolute blast playing Destiny 2. I've enjoyed every second of it so far, and they've managed to really surprise me with the direction that they went with the story, and I'm super excited for the future of the franchise. Hey guys, this is Drew from the future. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on this story. So Luke Smith, the director of Destiny 2, has actually come out on Twitter to address the shader issue, and he said this: "Shaders are earned through gameplay, leveling, chests, engrams, and vendors. We expect you will be flushed with shaders as you continue to play. When you reach level 20, shaders will drop more often. Vendor rewards, destination play, and in-game activities. Shaders are now an ongoing reward for playing. Customization will inspire gameplay. Each planet has a unique armor and shader rewards. With D2, we want statements like 'I want to run the raid,' trials, or go back to Titan to get more of its shader to be possible." Bungie's community manager Deej also brought up the shader issue this week in their This Week at Bungie blog post. He said, "The conversation about all the ways in which we play and are rewarded by the game will continue. We're just getting started on this new journey. Keep talking, we're always listening." So yeah, obviously Bungie has heard us on this issue, but they're kind of just saying deal with it at this point. I do see what Luke Smith is trying to say, and I do think that eventually we will just be swimming in shaders, but right now it's a little hard since everybody's leveling up and kind of missing out on shaders. With that said though, I do still think that having single-use items that you pay real money for is not a good practice, and it's something that we should keep our eye on because the industry should not move on to this standard. Alright, I'm going to send you guys back to the rest of the stories for this week. And finally for this episode, it was announced yesterday, or today, just like 3 hours ago when I'm recording this, that Rockstar is going to re-release their 2011 cult classic LA Noire for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and HTC Vive. These new versions will include all the DLC as well as being improved graphically for all of the new hardware. Yeah, this kind of came out of left field a bit. I mean, a lot of people, myself included, thought that Rockstar didn't even own the rights to this game, or at least not all of them, because the developer actually went out of business right after the game released because it was so damn expensive to make. But apparently they do own the rights to it, and I guess they're testing the waters to see if people want a potential sequel? Like I said earlier, LA Noire was an infamously expensive game to make, so I don't really think that Rockstar is actually looking to make a sequel to this game. I honestly just think that this is a way to update the game for fans who have been complaining that they haven't brought it to Xbox One backwards compatibility yet. But I really don't think Rockstar has any intention of making this into a sequel. I mean, LA Noire doesn't really fit into their new multiplayer-focused design goals of their past games and their future games with Red Dead Redemption 2, so yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. But as always, I'll keep an eye on it and let you guys know if anything comes out or if anybody from Rockstar says that, hey, we are working on a sequel. And that's the news for this week. You may have noticed that I don't actually cover every single thing that happened in the previous week. That's because I really want to cover the topics that I'm personally interested in so I can seem more genuine for you guys, because I feel like covering things that I don't care about, like JRPGs or something like that, would be really disingenuous, and I don't want to come across that way for you guys. Anyways, be sure to stick around for the end card to see what we recommend next, and we would love for you guys to leave a like while you're here, and also to comment and subscribe if you liked what you saw. We've been making videos like this every single week, and we're going to continue to do so for as long as we can. Alright, that's it for me this week, guys. Bye!
YAYYY